Just a couple bad weather fans representing New York, talking all things sports. Man, what could go wrong? We got Alex, who's a fan of the Knicks, and Mike of the Nets. The yin-yang of the tri-state, place your bets on the Yankees, Giants, Mets, or Jets. Yeah, you should listen if it's sparking your interest. If you made a vow to your team, don't break it. Bad weather fans is the relation.
That's right. This is Bad Weather Fans, episode number 125. Mike Biseglia, Alex Benesowitz, and we have a lot of news to get to. The New York Knicks, hot and heavy in discussions right now with the Utah Jazz to try to acquire Donovan Mitchell. Well, meanwhile, the Brooklyn Nets still living in a world of limbo where they have not dealt Kevin Durant, they have not dealt Kyrie Irving, and maybe things are changing where they will stay. Who the hell knows? But we have a lot to get to, and it's going to be a fun episode here on 125. So, Alex.
Yes,
I was waiting for that. I'm waiting for it. How are you?
I'm good. Episode 125, ready to go. Make sure you download the episode. If you really want to support the podcast, available on all podcast apps. That's the best way to support the show. So if you really want to just keep, growing, which we are, and get to that next level, just keep downloading these episodes and 5 stars on Apple, and follow us or subscribe everywhere you can. YouTube, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, whatever you're listening or watching right now. So I should be telling you how to do that. So anyway, Mike, so Donovan Mitchell, very exciting.
Oh my God.
Knicks and Jazz. I almost forgot what team he was on, are negotiating. It's crazy, it's 2 months ago, Woj said they're not, and they're building around Donovan Mitchell. And now, Knicks signed Brunson officially, and then an hour later, they're like, actually 5 minutes later, they're like, they're negotiating. Like, oh, okay.
Things move at a different pace. I mean, I think there's this anticipation that this is going to happen. You never know. I mean, you never know, and who knows with teams sweeping in and things that happen at the last second. But all indications are this is what's going to happen, and it's amazing to think of how things have just changed so fast for the Knicks. In this opportunity to gather a real star, a superstar at times, and a guy that is a game changer for your franchise. I've been a little bit surprised to hear how many people were like hesitant to deal, or would be hesitant to deal for Donovan Mitchell because of the amount of draft picks that I'm sure will have to be exchanged over to Utah, who has a recent track record of wanting draft picks. But I'm not the Knicks fan. I'll never be the Knicks fan. I have common sense, but I would have to say, just kidding. I would have to say, like, shit, if Donovan Mitchell is on the table, you have got to do it. And I don't see why they would want RJ Barrett either. So which I can talk about, but the Knicks are about to get a lot better and be a lot more relevant pretty quick whenever this thing happens.
Yeah, I feel as you're saying that, I feel like from Boomer Esiason on Boomer and Gio, where it's like, you don't touch the cup, you're touching the money. You know what I mean?
Sure. I get you.
I feel that way right now. We're talking too definitively that it's done. It's not done. As long as Riley's out there, I feel like anything can happen, or even the Nets are lurking, it just, anything can happen. I know they can't have Donovan Mitchell and Ben Simmons on the same team, which is absurd. In itself. I understand, cool. Right away I get, but like that doesn't make it, that just literally makes no sense to me. But it's exciting, man, because this is the guy we've been saying for years that if there's going to be a star that's going to come available and want to come to the Knicks, it's going to be Donovan Mitchell. The guy's from Westchester. The Knicks practice in Westchester, and there's all these reporters and stars say, oh, we don't want to practice in Westchester, we want to be in the city. It's, that's the benefit of being on the Knicks, is being in the city. Well, Donovan Mitchell's from Westchester. His family's there. His friends are there. That's where his roots are. He's not going to care about practicing Westchester. Yeah. He's done that commute from Westchester to the city a million times, I'm sure, in his life. You know what I mean? It's just, it's second nature for him. And you know what? It's just, this is that moment. This is that guy. Go get him. And you're right about RJ Barrett. I know you're not saying it from a talent perspective, like that RJ Barrett isn't good when you're saying, why would they want him? It's more of, the Jazz are trying to tank, and they want that French dude that's with the 7'6" wingspan or whatever he has. That's supposed to be the next the next guy, the number 1 pick next year that the Spurs are tanking for too. They want that guy. And why would they want RJ Barrett, who might have to max out? RJ Barrett's worth more to the Knicks than he is to the Jazz,
No doubt.
And they've invested so much in him. They have to see this through. And even if he doesn't become a superstar, if he's like a perennial all-star, borderline all-star for the next 10 years, then the Knicks made a successful pick, so the Jazz don't need that. You know what I mean?
No, it's dueling timelines. And for Utah Jazz's timeline, it doesn't make sense. And they also, probably don't value RJ Barrett as high as the Knicks do. So you figure they're not as high as them on his talent and his ability. And then you bring him in and it's like you just said, and that's what I was alluding to before, is now you're going to have to give him a max out, whatever that max out for his extension is. So you're going to give him that. At that point, it's like, well, why did you trade Donovan Mitchell in the first place when you could have just kept him, had your star? You don't need then to get the guy that's replacing him when you're stuck in the same limbo spot. You have to make that move to go all tank bad and then see what happens moving forward. It would make no sense for a team to acquire him. I mean, like the team that would make sense to acquire RJ Barrett is one that's kind of more in the middle and trying to get better, or a team that thinks he's a missing piece in some regards. But if you're trying to tank, you rather have guys that are under more controllable contracts where they're not going to make nearly as much money. And that would make more sense. And that to me is what Danny Ainge is trying to get and trying to acquire. So it's right, like you said, it's not about the talent, because clearly RJ Barrett's the most talented and valuable player of all the guys that are mentioned in these trade rumors. It just doesn't fit for the Utah Jazz. Like, why get a guy when we're going in all tank mode? When, like, for example, if the Nets were to deal KD, there's only one guy on the Knicks that the Nets would want, and it's RJ, because the Nets don't have draft picks. And then it makes sense. It doesn't make sense for a team that's trying to acquire all these draft picks to then get like a little bit better and be stuck with a guy and nobody else when they should be in all tank mode. So yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, and then they waste 2 or 3 years of his career, like that, like the Thunder are doing with Shai right now. It's
exactly what that is.
And that's why the Jazz are interested in Grimes. He's going into his second year. He looks like he could be a good player. I mean, he's probably not going to be an all-star player, but he looks like he can be a good 3-and-D guy. And you know what? They're like, all right, we don't have to pay him for a couple of years. This is a guy, he can get talent, he can get run, and we can develop him, and maybe he could be a good piece around whoever we get in the future. And you know how Danny Ainge, he just likes to get 1 million draft picks, and everybody thinks he's a genius because he gets 1 million draft picks, and that's fine. And that's his thing. And I just feel like there's a road and there's a map there for the Knicks to get out of a contract as well in this deal, where if I'm giving up 5, 6, 7 picks, which is nuts, I'm not giving you Quickly and Toppin. You know what I'm saying? You want Grimes and Quickly. I get it. And then like 5 picks and then add the fillers, whatever. Fine. But I'm not giving you Quickly, Toppin and Grimes and then giving you 8 picks. Like, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? But at the same time, gun to my head, do I do it? Probably. You know what I mean? Just, you got to get them, so it's going to be weird.
And I would say too, and I think there's a misnomer with draft picks, and this is going to be a Sean Marks thing. And I think Knicks fans will hear my point and agree with me what I'm going to saying. Draft picks aren't just about, let me draft a guy and then we see if he becomes a superstar and we have a superstar. You have to use draft picks as a weapon, and you use that weapon to acquire other things and other talent that you can use to maneuver and not play checkers, but play chess and move forward with ideas and concepts. So what Leon Rose did, to his credit, is he acquired draft picks, not just because he was like, we're going to have all these draft picks to pick all these young rookies over the next 3 years. Like, you have 11 draft picks over the next 3 years. You're not going to fucking draft 11 guys. It's just not happening. The idea is you acquire draft picks, which then you can use and maneuver to put yourself in a position to acquire a big name player. And to be fair, like the Knicks 2 or 3 years ago, if they had these draft picks, Donovan Mitchell's not coming to the Knicks. He wouldn't want to do it because he wouldn't want to be at the shit show of where the organization was. But they've made strides. They've drafted young, good players. They put themselves down in a position where Donovan Mitchell sees it and goes, okay, they just signed Jalen Brunson. I think RJ Barrett's got some good potential here. Mitchell Robinson's resigned. Like, okay, like let me go back home. I know I'm not going to a spot where we're contending for titles right away, but I know it's not going to be a wasteland at the Garden. We're going to be a team that's one of the Eastern Conference teams that's I would say in the mix, in the fold.
Wins.
Yeah. You know, you're not the Bucks, you're not the Heat, you're not one of those teams or the Celtics, but the Knicks are fighting. The Knicks are there and they're young and scrappy. And you know, we detailed they don't have enough 3-point shooting or how are they going to play defense?
Right.
But they're going to be a winning team. So I would tell Knicks fans that are obsessed with these draft picks, you acquire draft picks. So then you go out in a position and you talk to a team like the Utah Jazz, and Danny Ainge says, good work, Leon Rose. I'm now going to at least take this phone call and we can have a discussion. Unlike 3 years ago where it was, you got nothing I'm interested in. You drafted well late round with Grimes and Quickly. And you know what? You got a lot of picks. Let's talk and let's figure it out. And whatever that little detail is, if it's top end, if it's not, if it's 5 picks, we're in discussion now. But don't be so like obsessed with, if we get rid of all these picks, we're never going to develop young guys. No, you use the picks as a weapon, and now you're using it. And kudos to Leon Rose for doing a good job with it.
Right. And also, when you make the Donovan Mitchell trade, if you do, don't say like, I don't want to, jinx it. If you make the Donovan Mitchell trade, the offseason isn't over. You can still make other moves. You know what I mean? That's not done. If you don't trade Randall in that deal, you can still flip him for something else. If you don't trade Fournier in that deal, you can flip him for something else. You know, the dream lineup that I put out the other day is for me is Brunson, Mitchell, Barrett, Obi, and Robinson. That's the dream starting lineup right now, because you can run and gun and you will have that. The Garden will be on fire. And then the bench could be, depending on who's traded, could be Derrick Rose. I guess Fournier would have to go, or maybe he's there. Then you have Derrick Rose, Fournier, Cam Reddish, Jericho Sims, Hartenstein. That's a pretty good team. You know what I mean? And that's a team that New York can get behind. That's a team that the fans can get excited about. That's a team that's going to be, in the playoffs, top 5 seed, so let's do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you make this trade. It's not like the Melo trade, because people have PTSD from the Melo trade. The Melo trade, the Knicks had nothing in the cupboard. You know what I mean? They had nothing. It was bare. They didn't have a first round pick in the future because of a Marbury trade also. And they also, it just, they didn't have excess picks, and they had Amari Stoudemire, and then they traded all of their young players for Melo and Chauncey Billups. You know what I mean? So it's like they traded all the picks and all the young players, and they didn't have a lot of picks. That's why that trade was, then the Billups thing and blah, blah, blah. Everyone knows the story. But like, that's why that trade hurt the Knicks so bad in the long term, because they didn't have the young players. They didn't keep the young players and the picks. They got rid of both. Like, here, you can have the ability to keep an RJ Barrett, a Mitchell Robinson, a Jericho Sims, and hopefully an Obi or Quickly, and get Donovan Mitchell. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I think you have to do it. You have to bring him in. And I to push you back a little bit, I think the Knicks will be very good. Whatever that means, and be improved. But I don't know if that's a lock that they're the 5 seed. I'm
just giving you
I know, but anytime
you're a 5 seed, you're not going to be
fine to say that. But I'm just I have Nick radar for any success. Anytime I call it, I will hear it. Yeah, I think the Knicks will be a team that's
they're not a playing team.
Somewhere in there. There's somewhere in there.
They're playing team now.
That is.
They're playing team now.
Where that is, where the pantheon of the Hawks who improved, wherever the Nets end up settling, because there's a lot of uncertainty there. And I think how KD, that is holding up free agency. And I think if it's going to wait longer, it's just going to happen. I would also say this to you as well. If you're a Knicks fan and you're on the fence about it, you've been struggling forever to get people to come here and stars to come here. If you get Donovan Mitchell here, it does help that. I mean, it brings in the idea that somebody would want to see success in the Garden, gets excited about how things are going with the Knicks, and think to themselves, you know what? Maybe I want to go to Madison Square Garden. Things are different now. They're fun. Donovan Mitchell's there. And I think that's the first domino to help you with that, or else it's impossible to do without. And yeah, it's the perfect circumstance. Did it take that? Of course it did. But that's reality. Who cares? Like Jalen Brunson, how'd you get him? His dad was here, and it was the perfect storm. But he's still here. And Donovan Mitchell from the area. But like I said before, 2 or 3 years ago, he's not giving the Knicks a chance. I think you pull the trigger on that as well, because you bring him in, and then you can start to see other stars thinking this is a destination place to play, because it's not been, and it's been somewhere where free agents have not been interested in. Free agents. free agents want to win, right? If superstar free agents want to win too. And if they see that it's a winning situation, Donovan Mitchell's happy. I don't know who it is or when it'll be and what time, but that makes a huge difference. And to me, that would be a lot of value as well that you're not going to get. And you got to give up stuff. You just have to. You're going to have to give up picks.
I agree. And I think also 2 years ago, when people act like it didn't happen, but when the Knicks were the 4th seed and in the playoffs, the crowd was crazy. And then even the beginning of this season, the crowd was crazy. Players around the NBA saw that. And there's a lot of young players that didn't see the Knicks in the 90s. They didn't see before Melo. You know what I mean? They didn't see the Garden like that, where like, whoa, you know what I mean? Like this could be crazy. And then if you can make that sustainable with a guy like Donovan Mitchell, then people are going to come. And I'm not talking about the big time free agents like Giannis or somebody. I'm talking about like the mid to high level free agent, like a Jimmy Butler, like a Chris Middleton kind of talent type. That's going to be like, yo, that's Donovan Mitchell, Brunson, RJ, and those boys, man. If I go over there, man, we can do something. You know what I mean? And that's the kind of guy you want to get, and they shouldn't make their whole life around trying to get stars, which is not what we're saying with that. That's what the old Knicks were doing in 2019, where they had nothing. And they're like, hey guys, you want to come? And everybody's like, what? Like, no, so it's just now it's different. This is different. that's all we're trying to say.
I hate to say it, but the Knicks are building like how the Nets built. I mean, they're doing the same exact thing.
Like a competent basketball team.
They're doing the same. I mean, it's the same exact thing as they had a drafted.
Except they have picks. The Nets didn't have any.
Well,
picks.
They traded to make picks. Like they
used their cap space. They used their cap space to get picks, right? They took on like Damari Carroll, like guys like that, right?
They drafted well, and then and then when they got to a place, they did the pivot for Durant and Kyrie, but it took building up. But Sean Marks gathered young talent. He flipped the talent. Like it's not just as simple as the Golden State Warriors hitting home runs on first round picks every year. And all of a sudden, boom, you've got yourself a championship team. There's other ways to build. There's like, it always bothers me when people are like, you can't win a championship by just signing free agent stars and making a super team. Yes, you can.
Of course you can.
Doesn't mean every year it's going to work, but you're telling me if you sign superstar free agents, that means it doesn't work because it didn't in Brooklyn. That means it doesn't work. Like the Miami Heat did it. The Los Angeles Lakers
did it. Yeah,
the Lakers had 3 superstars forever.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think you win in the NBA? Like that's how it works.
The Lakers always got stars. Yeah.
Through the draft, if it's free agents, but it's all savvy moves to get there. Don't put everything in a box that there's only one way to make this work. Oh, the only way you have to do this is to draft guys through the draft. Look at the Warriors. Look how successful they've been. Yeah, that was great. They did amazing. Oh, look at the Spurs. Yeah, they fucking lost the David Robinson first season, fell into some luck, and then they got Tim Duncan. Every situation is different for teams to become champions, and I'm not saying I don't think the Knicks are champions next year. But like, don't downgrade every move because it's not the way you see it. There's a million ways to get to a title. All right. Like, I never want to see the Knicks win a championship. I hope they never do. But that doesn't mean that they're not building it the right way. 2 years ago, last year, when the Nets dismantled the Celtics, the Celtics are done. Oh, well, you know what? They had internal growth. Marcus Smart got better. Jaylen Brown got better. Jason Tatum got better. All of a sudden, you're in the fucking finals. I'm not saying for me, if I'm a Knicks fan and I'm optimistic, and you have Donovan Mitchell, I'm going, my 3 best players are 25 and younger. Yeah. We're not trading for guys that are done. The idea is that they're going to grow as a team together. And who says in 3 years, they don't add another piece? Like, it's not over. This is an ongoing job. And it's just frustrating when I hear people say, this is not the way to do it. Well, I mean, there's not just one way to do it. You want to do it the way it was 2 years ago when your team sucked? You got a future now. Holy shit. Defending the Knicks.
There are a lot of dumb Knicks fans, but it's just funny because you can't start trashing Donovan Mitchell now because you want to fit a narrative of you don't really need him. Like, oh, he can't play defense. Like, there's a lot of people in the NBA who can't play defense. He can't shoot. Like, he's not the best shooter. Okay, he's still great. Giannis can't shoot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
everybody has flaws.
Everybody has flaws. Except for Durant, of course, but his flaw is staying on a basketball team, but that's one thing. But just the whole thing is it's just stop. Like, you can find a flaw in everybody. Like, you got me off my train, but like, People criticize LeBron James. The guy went to the finals 10 straight years, and people are criticizing him in his game, not just his offseason decisions. If you wanted to criticize that, fine. But like his game, people are picking apart. Like, are you kidding? You know, this is LeBron James, the second best player ever. We talk about this often. Like, he's not Michael Jordan. Okay. Like, you know what I mean? What does that mean? He's the second place player, best player of all time. You know what I mean? That's if or the best, depending on who you're talking to, you know? So it's insane. It's absolutely insane. And the Knicks shouldn't be scared to deal with Danny Ainge either. I mean, he's smart. He's been a good GM, but he has one championship in 20 something years. And, you know, yeah, he's been able to trade for first round picks, but he also, you know, you trade guys like, you know, Kevin Garnett in that Nets trade. You have a lot of picks. You trade a bunch of, you trade Rondo, you get picks. Just like Sam Presti, you know, they call him a genius. You know, he traded Prime Harden, Westbrook, Paul George, Chris Paul. Of course, he's got a shit ton of picks because he traded all of these stars. You know what I mean? That's what these stars cost. You know, that it just shows that these GMs failed with these stars. It's not impressive to me for these guys to get a lot of picks. So I wouldn't be so scared of Danny Ainge. That this is not like Red Auerbach or Pat Riley. You know what I mean? Like, take it easy.
Yeah, but the part about Danny Ainge, and I think is impressive, is you could say his resume has got one championship. It's the one thing that he has been an assassin in is these trades. And he is living off that one trade for sure, which was so one-sided, where he just shellacked Billy King. Danny Ainge's best attribute is making these trades. So that's what shines through. Now you want to talk about other minutia? I don't know. I couldn't tell you Danny Ainge's fucking track record of free agent signings and how he did and flipping things. But because, I mean, that one Nets trade is so big and so disgusting that it is just hanging over everything.
The Celtics are still living off of it.
Yeah. I mean, their team is in prime position to be successful. I mean, the Celtics now added Malcolm Brogdon, and the way they go, where they're like, okay, we got Tatum, we got Brown, we got
Smart Williams.
Everybody. I mean, we got a squad. Fuck. The other interesting news today was the Suns matching the offer from the Pacers on Aiden, 4 years, $133 million. So he's staying with Phoenix. I bring it up not because I really care about the Suns in the West and how that changes their roster, but it does have a ripple effect on the Brooklyn Nets. And, you know, for the Suns now to acquire him and keep him, it's one less player in the asset of sign and trade. You know, if you're the Nets, there's really nobody on Phoenix. And I'll give you credit. You called this a couple of weeks ago when you talked about the market for Kevin Durant. You were spot on. I mean, it's been non-existent. It's weird because I think what happened was a weird thing. I think when Rudy Gobert got traded, they acquired so many draft picks that I think the Nets inflated in their head, as I did too. You're telling me it was 4 draft picks for Rudy Gobert, not a young player, not like a youngish player, but Rudy Gobert got that. Like, we are going to change the marketplace for Kevin Durant. And I think all teams around it were just like, we just can't do it. We want Kevin, but it's just too much. It's not that he's too old in my view. I think that the difference is, and I said this last week, is you can't strip your organization to bring him in and then you're stripped. There's no like middle ground. And I think the Nets are just going to hold still. And I think they've gotten to the point where they're probably feeling inside about this. And this, unless ownership truly just doesn't want them here, which I pray to God is not the case, but is like, which could be the case. But I would think at this point, you're like, there's not enough for a deal. Fuck it. At some point, he's going to come to camp. There's no way in hell he sits out the whole season and doesn't play basketball. There's no way.
What if he does? You know,
I'm just saying, I think the gut reaction would be Kevin Durant loves to play basketball. Is he really going to sit out a year because of some petty argument about Kyrie Irving and Joe Tsai? Like, is that really going to happen? You might be right. You might be right. But I think for the Nets, it's like, there's not a deal out there. We can't just make the trade. Fuck it. Let's bring him back.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to get to that point. I think what's going to happen is by the end of the summer, this is just my prediction, by the end of the offseason, I should say, the Nets are going to have a trade in place with a team. Like, let's say, I don't pick a team. It doesn't matter. Right. And he's not going to be that excited about going there. It's not going to be the Suns. Right. And the Nets are going to be like, no, we have this trade for you. This is kind of like Melo with the Knicks when they were trying to trade him to OKC, and they're going to be like, all right, well, if you're not going to take this trade, because he has a no trade clause, even if he doesn't, he's Kevin Durant. He can just be like, I'm not going there.
The other team would then be like, we're not, if he's,
we don't want Kevin Durant if he's not going to play. Yeah. Like, why are we going to do this?
His agent said he's not going to suit up. We can't do it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So it's the same thing as having a no trade clause. So it's the same kind of comparison. And then the Nets are going to be like, all right, well then show up, bro. Otherwise we're going to fine you. And then he's like, all right, fine. Like that's what happened with Melo with the Thunder. Knicks had a Thunder trade in place. And Melo was like, no, I'm using my no trade. I don't want to go. And he's like, I don't want to go to Oklahoma City. And they had a stare down for like a month. And then Knicks were like, all right, well then show up to camp, bro. Media days tomorrow. I bet you have fun talking to the reporters. And he's like, all right, fine, I'll go to Oklahoma City. And then he got traded there. Knicks got a couple players and a second round pick that turned into Mitchell Robinson. So you know what? You just got to get something back for him at that point. And I think there's a better chance that the Nets don't trade Kyrie and they just send them home. Or let me rephrase that. There's a better chance that Kyrie is gone, however he's gone, traded or just sits out or they sit him out. And there's an avenue where they could convince Kevin Durant to stay. You know what I'm saying? And just like get it together. But I think Kyrie's done. I think his time here is done. And Kyrie can act like, well, I opted in. I wanted to play. Like, dude, you were shopping yourself. Like, you know what I mean? There was nobody out for you. So you took the money because you sacrificed all your money last year because, you didn't want to get vaccinated. So you took the money and now you can't act like we're all a bunch of idiots. Like, you were shopping yourself. Like, the Nets just want him to get the fuck out of here.
He obviously there was more internal gripe of how much they disliked having him around and everything that was caused from last season. And I'm sure the stress level was insane for them. And they said, you know what? This is what you're getting, Kyrie. And I think his intentions were, oh yeah, I'm just going to get my contract and we'll figure it out. I get there'll be some negotiations. I think he was shocked when the Nets were just like, whoa, we're not doing this. And I think then from that point, it's like, well, you know what? Fuck it. I want out of here. And now there's a little bit of, well, shit, there's nowhere really to go. And the Nets at the same thing are like, we're not trading Kyrie for Russell Westbrook. We're not doing that.
No, we're not helping Kyrie.
We're not just doing that. And I think we're just sitting tight and deadline to make deals. So when we get closer to the start of camp, is there a deal in place? Or over time into summer heal wounds and people put their dumb egos aside and both sides get together and say, all right. And this is on the ownership too, because they have to be okay with it. We have an opportunity here to go out and win a championship. There's a lot of factors that will play against us, but there are also an opportunity where we could just say, you know what, fuck it. Let's prove everybody wrong. And let's go out and ball our ass off and win a championship. And let's put the bullshit aside.
Yeah.
Let's leave it alone and let's go out and try. I pray that is the sense that comes together because you say, well, people forget how good Ben Simmons is. Well, because Ben Simmons hasn't played in a while, but Ben Simmons is an all-world talent. And if healthy, could be a nice piece around a scoring guard in Kyrie Irving and a all-time player in Kevin Durant. If you could get a defensive guy that you can put on your best players and then become the point guard on offense, like, what are we doing? We've got talent here. I mean, if I told you the Nets starting lineup was Ben Simmons, Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, Kevin Durant, and a drastically currently improving Nick Claxton with a bench of Patty Mills, Seth Curry, Royce O'Neal, TJ Warren, and that's not terrible. That's a decent 9 players
on paper.
But let's put
the world isn't on paper.
Put the paper into the world and let that paper fly, Alex. Make that a paper airplane and let's whirl that around the Barclays Center. What are we doing? Put our egos aside and let's talk and let's come together and play. There is no deal. There is nothing there's nothing that you're going to get for Kevin Durant right now that's good. Unless teams change their mind when they get closer to the season, the Suns go, or I don't know, whatever the Raptors go, fuck it. Let's try to win a championship. Scotty Barnes, you're gone. Like, I don't know. I don't think the Nets are just going to say, let's get some random draft picks. It just doesn't. They're fucked because they lost the Rocket. The bitch of the Rockets. They have to get players in return. They can't get draft picks back.
Yeah. And I'm going to go back to this. I really think they're done with Kyrie. I think that they just can't stand him. I think there's all signs point to that. They can't stand him. And even Goran Dragic had a quote. He said it was quite hard because it wasn't about the team, but more about individual performances on his difficulty on his Nets tenure playing with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So it's not just Kyrie he's throwing on the bus, it's Durant. And he has no reason to lie. You know what I mean? I know he's friends with Nash, but he has no reason to lie. He probably is just like, yo, this is a joke. And that's a vet that's been on a lot of good teams around a lot of good coaches, a lot of good organizations. He's seen it all in other countries too. Like he knows what he's talking about. Nets fans can't trash Goran Dragic. You know what I mean? Because the fans have a tendency to do that as like trash the source when somebody makes a point to go against them. And Kyrie he's a joke. Yeah, and it's time for him to go. And I think the Nets are just had enough of him and they might just send him home. But you know, like I think that, like I said before, I can say it again. If they can get Kyrie out of there, maybe they can get Kevin Durant in a room and be like, dude, just Kyrie, like, listen, it's your team, you know, whatever you want.
They're a package deal, Alex. It's not going to work like that. It's a package deal. You have to suck it up. Yeah. Like, and I want to suck it up. And I know I've had people say, do you really want to go through that again? You just want to move on and be some random NBA team? No, I don't. Yeah. I'll take the chance. I'm deep in it. And I'll take the chance.
You've been through too much already.
Right. Like at this point, it's like we've gone through the bullshit. I got to see them play for one season. That's all I ask. I need to see Simmons, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant fully healthy together for 1 year and let the cards fall where they fall. And if they suck and they're not good and they don't win and it doesn't work and Goran Dragic is right and they have no chemistry and all they care about is themselves, so be it. But I need to see it in real life. I need to see it with my own goddamn eyes. Okay. I don't want to fucking read about it. And I don't want to go through whatever bullshit comes back. And it is, I think because some time has passed, my mind is now going back to maybe this can happen. I've had people tell me you're out of your mind.
That's like Knicks fans with Randall. Like they're forgetting how much of a shit show he was this year because time has passed.
But but it's Durant. You know, like it's not Randall.
No, but I think it's more
skinny
Kyrie.
Randall.
You're not like, I mean, I think it's more Kyrie than Durant. But like you said, they're a package deal, which is just weird. It's weird that, like, what is their relationship? I've never had a friend that good that I would torpedo my entire career or life for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've had a lot of friends I would do anything for. I've like so many friends in my life. My buddy Sean, I'm not going to name my friends, but like I would do anything for them. But I'm not quitting my job or risking my future for them. And yeah, I know I don't have $100 million in the bank like they do. But still, it's just, this is Kevin Durant's legacy. And I know we don't like talking about that, but this is his legacy. His legacy is that he's a punk, that he's just, when things get tough, he runs. And that's your legacy now. This was it for him for the Nets because, you know, he's in the Thunder. It just didn't work out. So he wanted to go to the Warriors because he wanted to win titles because that's how you win titles as a super team. And then he left the super team to go to the Nets. And it's like, this is my team. And like, this is where I'm going to be. And now you want to leave there too. It's like, well, what the hell what is your style? Like, you know, what are you? Are you a ring chaser or are you just a guy that likes to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants? You know what I mean? I
think it's that. I don't think it's a ring chaser. I know that sounds insane saying what happened when he, went to Golden State. I don't know. Alex, I think it's like everybody's allowed to do what they want to do. That's the beauty of it. Like there's no, does he want to go here? Does he want to go there? It's disappointing that you could be under contract and be so committed and say how much you love it. And then to change. And I do think, and I contradict myself from a few weeks ago, I do think he likes it here. I think he hates ownership. I think ownership pissed him off. I think it's all about what happened with ownership and the Kyrie situation and not getting things he wanted bothered him.
But why does he not hate Kyrie? Like, I don't understand.
We
don't know the whole story.
That's
first
best,
of all.
Yeah. That's best friends.
Yeah. But like
best friends. Step Brothers, whatever that movie was. You take care of each other, man.
I guess.
Shit.
We have big Shams news, by the way.
What, are you being sarcastic?
No. Yes. Austin Rivers signed with the
that happened before the show. 1-year deal. I'll be sarcastic. No, it would be fun to get breaking news on this. Although if we did, I don't know how I would want to edit that. Would we want to do it over? What would you want to do?
It depends.
Get the live reaction would be amazing though.
Yeah. It depends. If it was like the end of it and like we were just about to end, then I feel like we'd have to start a new episode over. Be like, well, we recorded this one before.
The only time we had to redo an episode was after, which was one of our bigger episodes. It was when Kerry Kittles came on, and then we recorded, and then Kyrie went on Instagram Live, and everything we said got dated.
Yeah,
like everything we said was,
we were like, why isn't he talking? Where the hell is he? And that's the kind of shit the Nets don't want to deal with.
Well, that's an example. Yeah.
Like enough of this. We don't know what the hell he's going to do. He's going to just, he's playing video games on Twitch and talking shit. And like in the off season, it's just like, you wanted to go, you were shopping yourself. So he said, all right, bro, go find a trade.
How upset would you be? How upset would you be if the Nets swooped in and got Mitchell at the last minute?
I'd be very upset.
I'd be very pissed. Upset. Like, but that means, Simmons is gone. Because they can't and it might mean the Nets get worse because Durant's then let's say
if they get rid of Durant
and
they get I got
Mitchell and
we're saying the same thing.
Mitchell and Bridges and Johnson, like whatever the combination is, where they're definitely not as good, but the Knicks lose out on another star to the Nets.
If the Nets got Donovan Mitchell and they kept Kevin Durant, I'd be really, really upset. But if they lost Durant and Kyrie, and if they lost Kyrie, let's say they lost Durant and Simmons in a trade, and they got Donovan Mitchell, and then they flip Kyrie for something else for like Paul George, and then I'm just like, oh my god, what the fuck, and then I'm gonna be really upset. But if they just ended up getting Donovan Mitchell and they have nothing else, then I'm like, all right, well, whatever. They got Donovan Mitchell, good for you. You got nothing else. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, not. You'll still have a good team and I'll be upset, but I'll just be like, all right, well, let's dump Randall and let's go. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be weird and it'll be upsetting. And that's the other thing. It's like, we did this before with Kyrie. Like, he's from the area. Of course he's going to want to play for the Knicks. Like, no, he grew up in New Jersey. Like, he's a Nets fan. He
was a Nets fan.
Donovan Mitchell grew up in Westchester. Yeah. And he might've been a Knicks fan. He probably was, but the Nets still play in New York. So he could still go home and play for the Nets. You know what I'm saying? So it's just,
I don't know. The younger guy, like caring. It's definitely not the same cachet of the Knicks that it once was for younger people. This is a topic that's worn out, but I was watching, Alex. I couldn't sleep last night, so I got the Nets jersey. I was watching Knicks 2004 Game 4 at the Garden, Nets clincher. Did you know the Knicks went up 7 with like 3.5 minutes left and then blew the lead? I forgot about that. I enjoyed watching that.
Not a very memorable game for me. I don't remember.
Kurt Thomas was hitting jumper after jumper in that series.
But he did, man.
He doesn't miss.
Elbow jumpers, those 15 footers, man.
He was fire. I had to watch it. I needed it was refreshing to watch it though, to be honest, because it was like to see a team that tried and cared was really cool. Like,
and that's what you want back.
Rebounded, defended, got into the fast break. I mean, they were.
Let's talk, Mike. Let's talk. This is the team that you want to give another shot to. You're just saying how fun it was and refreshing to watch a team that actually liked each other and wanted to play together, and that was good. And you got guys like Goran Dragic telling you that this team was a fucking shit show, and reporters for the Nets saying that this is the most toxic environment I've ever been around. And you're like, yeah, let's give it another shot.
I know, it's crazy, but that's what talent does, right? It draws you in. It's crazy. Yes. That is crazy to me.
Yeah,
that it is crazy just how toxic and how fast it got. Like, not even culture is a word.
I think they gave the Nets players too much power. It's one thing to make to let's say you have, like, it's in football, like you have Pat Mahomes is on the Chiefs, and he's going to be involved in some sort of conversations for a coach. If you ever get a new coach there, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be involved in as he should be. Exactly. He's your franchise. And like Kevin Durant, if you're going to trade for Royce O'Neal, let's just give an example, like out of context. You're going to be like, hey, are you cool with this dude? All right, cool. Let's go. But like, you can't let them make every decision. Riley with the Heat, he had LeBron and Wade and Bosh, but you knew who was the boss. Like, you know what I mean? Right? He would draw the line in certain places, except for when he was ready to leave, and they're like, "Oh, you want Shabazz Napier? We'll draft him. Yeah, please stay." You know, like they did that, but that was at the end of it. And it's just, you know, and even at the end, Riley had that press conference where he's like, "We've been to 4 straight finals. Everybody get a fucking grip." Like, you know what I mean? What are we doing here?
I know he must.
You know?
It's just so funny too, because it's just never enough. Like, what else do you realistically want from me? I signed 3 of the best players of all time.
Yeah.
Or drafted one of them, signed his free agency the other 2, and then you got Ray Allen there. I mean, come on. Look what we got going here.
Yeah, why do you want to leave? You know, like kind of a thing. But
Sean Marks isn't getting Pat Riley respect. And I don't know if Kevin Durant and Pat Riley would would that work?
No, Kyrie and Kyrie also, he wouldn't work with anybody. He just has shown. Look at the players he's been and the organizations he's been with. Like the Cavs, he was with LeBron. He had enough of LeBron. Then he's with the Celtics, and he has Tatum and Brown as kids there. He could have rode their coattails, and they could have bounced off each other and been a fucking dynasty. And he's like, nah, they're assholes. I want to get out of here. And now he's here, and he gets what he wants, and he's a joke. But
the funny thing is with Kyrie, like, it's not this idea around the league that guys don't want to be with him or people love him. Teammates love him. That's not true.
Publicly.
This idea that he's a bad teammate or guys don't like him. I mean, sure. I mean, people talk behind each other's backs, I suppose. You know, I'm DMing all these Knicks fans behind your back. Can you believe Alex said that? I get that, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think there's this idea that he's this awful guy in the locker room. I think he just, that meme where he's there and then shit's on fire and there's like whatever stuff happens where he goes to places, organizations got problems. Fair or unfair,
like a baby.
Does happen. Like a baby. I mean, and the Nets are in it. The Nets are experiencing it now. And I will put my hand up in the air and say, I want to do it again. I don't want to go into a rebuild. I want to do it again. I'll take my chances. And you can make fun of me. You can say, I told you so. I will do all of that for the one idea of knowing they just won a title. I've seen it,
do you think that's because of your age? Do you think if you were like 16, 17, you'd be like, oh, fuck this team, blow it up.
That's a good question. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
It's just interesting to think about that.
Yeah, I'm 39.
Mm-hmm.
Born in May 10th, so I'll be 40 in May. The closest I've gotten to seeing a title with the Nets was 2003, Game 6. So that's about as far as they went. Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, but I mean that's not true though, because then there's people that are like 55 and are like, blow it up. This is not my team. Oh yeah, I'll never. This is not what I loved, and all the basketball is so not good now, and it's not fun, and nobody plays defense, and that whole crew.
Yeah. I miss the days of chest passes, and no. But like,
I saw so many chest passes though, Alex, in that video I was watching in 04. Oh, so many good chest passes.
That was Jason Kidd, man. That's of course. But honestly, I think it's not about age. I think it's more of, I say this because a lot of people probably think that the reason why I'm ready to just go in and get Donovan Mitchell and trade a bunch of picks is because I'm older and I'm tired of it. And yes, there's part of me that is, but also in 2018 and 2017 and 2019, and I don't know why I did the numbers that way, like 18, 17, 19, but like, I know I can count, but like 17, 18, 19, I wanted to blow it up. Let's tank. Let's get everything we get. Let's get some draft picks. Let's get rid of these guys. Let's fucking, like, we're like, enough. Porzingis is hurt. Like let's done. Let's go. Let's tank. Let's get these guys. And that's only a couple of years ago. And now, 2019 was supposed to be the beginning, and now we're 3 years later. Let's start fucking getting players that we can win some games. Like, we have RJ Barrett, we have Mitchell Robinson, you have Brunson now. Let's go. Like,
I think the Brunson signing makes this that much easier.
Right.
If they didn't sign Brunson, which brings up a point, and I'm so bad at this. If the Knicks are able to trade for Donovan Mitchell, you got to say I was wrong about the Knicks draft.
Depends on the deal also. But, Mo Breezy, our boy, Mo Breezy, he wants an apology.
I apologize. I would say,
I will. If those trades on draft day get the Knicks Donovan Mitchell, I will apologize. But there's no way a Knicks fan is sitting there on draft day and is like, you know what? Fuck these draft picks. We're going to get Donovan Mitchell in 3 months. Like, there was nobody saying that.
Well,
and if you said that with a straight face, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here. You're lying. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Alex, it's just obvious to me.
What?
Leon Rose playing chess. Everybody else playing checkers. That is a good question, though. Did he have the idea on draft night that this was something to look at? Or did he have the idea of, I just want to keep acquiring draft picks. There's no one I love here at this pick. Let me just move on. You know, what is it? You know, I do agree there's a little something, though, like, regardless of how you get there, right? Like, no matter how it ends up, if Leon Rose set up the pieces to get to this point, I would say anybody that said he made a mistake on draft night, you'd have to say he was right. If he knew it or not, it doesn't really matter. If you're he got there. He still could have done it differently. Like, he could have traded Alec Burks at the deadline. He could have done other things and still drafted a player at the 11th pick. You know what I mean? Like, there still could have been things that they could have done. And I don't think that these protected picks are that valuable, you know. And it just, you're not going to trade for Donovan Mitchell, or the Jazz aren't going to trade Donovan Mitchell and they're going to take all of these protected picks back. They're going to be like, fuck these protected picks. We want your picks unprotected. And that's what they're going to want. And yeah, the beauty is that the Knicks have like half insurance where they have these protected picks. So at least they have something where they've shown that, you know, Leon Rose, to give him credit, this is what he's good at it, or Perry, whoever's picking the picks. They're good at drafting players at the end of the first round with Grimes and Quickly and Sims and Mitchell Robinson. Like, they're good at that. You know what I mean? And that's why they have the players to trade, exactly. You know, so that's why those protected picks can be so valuable, but they're not going to get you Donovan Mitchell. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to have they're the filler picks just to make it look like a lot of picks. And Windhorst said this on TV today. He's like, I think Danny Ainge wants to get to that 7 picks just so he can set a record of, I got the most picks at a trade. See that. Yeah. Like that's just an ego thing, but I can see that. And that's just Danny Ainge trying to act like he's put another pelt on the wall. Like, look what I did. Oh, yeah, okay. You'd have to, I mean, yeah, man. Like, I get it's such a fine line, because I understand you're trading 7 picks away, but let's be real. We're all fans and we're all in the moment, and you're at it. Like, anybody that's going to see Donovan Mitchell and then not get excited after they had the winning bucket would be like, shit, we do not have that 2029 draft pick. I cannot enjoy today. I mean, how can you not just be real? Like, I get it. It's a lot of picks and it could suck. And look at the Nets. It fucked them.
Yeah.
It fucked them. I mean, they were in a bad place, like a really bad place, way worse than now, in my opinion. Just really bad. This is dysfunctional, but there's things that can be done.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. It can be bad. But as a fan in the moment, the world's most famous arena, getting loud. Mecca. I mean, Knicks fans cheering, high-fiving each other, saying, yeah, this is great. Let's go on a Knicks Spaces and talking to each other and bonding and just saying, look at us. Look at us. We're the New York Knicks. We run New York City. We run the NBA. We're making revenue now. How can you not just think about those moments and think, man, did you see that Knicks Hawks playoff game? We beat Trae Young in 6. We won that series. Like, after that first round, joking aside, when you're in the second round and you're enjoying playoff games and it's game 5 and it's Knicks versus Bulls at the Garden, you're not going to be sitting there going, man, that 29 unprotected pick. You won't even think about it. You'll think about it maybe in 2030 when you suck, but you won't think about it.
You know what it is? It's also what they do after a potential Donovan Mitchell trade, because that's what's going to put them into a title contention. What are you going to do next? Okay, you have Brunson, Donovan, RJ,
not enough.
Mitchell Robinson. It's not enough, but you're going to be a playoff team. But what do you do next? The Knicks traded everything and for Melo, right? What did they do next? They took the player option of Billups. The lockout hit. The lockout was over, and the Mavericks said, we don't want to re-sign Tyson Chandler. Just help us win a title. They got excited because they had an interim GM, and that was Dolan's mistake. You know, he had an interim GM who was trying to prove himself. So you know what he did? He used the amnesty on Chauncey Billups that they were saving for Amari, who they knew was going to fall apart eventually. And they signed Tyson Chandler. Meanwhile, they didn't know about Melo and Chris Paul scheming that Chris Paul was going to be a Knick. He's at a toast at Melo's wedding saying, I'm going to come to New York. Literally, everybody there said it. That's a true story. You know what I mean? He was coming, and they screwed that up, and that put a ceiling on the Melo era. And they still had a couple good years. It was fun, whatever, but ultimately was a failure. And now, if you deal all of these picks for Donovan Mitchell, and you have RJ Barrett and Mitchell Robinson and Brunson and whoever else, who are you getting next? And then that's going to set up your future. That's going to be like, you're not going to give a shit about that 2029 pick or 2028 pick. That's what's going to do it. But I would like to keep those future picks like back in the next back end of the decade. I'd like to have some protections on those picks. Give me a top 10 protection just in case this shit falls apart and we have some insurance. You know what I mean? Just give me something.
And that's the negotiations right now. That's what's going on. That's the process at this point.
That Melo trade, they had that they gave a swap in the million year. They're like, they'll swap that pick. Yeah, whatever. That swap turned into the Bargnani trade. They said, oh shit, we don't have this trade anyway. It's a swap. Let's trade it for Bargnani. Let's help Melo. And that was a big flop. You know what I mean? That's another thing. I think that would, I don't know what year that was, but that's one of those other ones. That was a Knicks draft pick that they could have been, like whatever. Yeah. So it's a big fucking joke, man. Just get the star when you can get the fucking star. Like, you know what I mean? You can't complain. You can't get a star. And then when you have a chance to get a star, you don't want to get the star. Get the star. Go get Donovan Mitchell and stop fucking around.
Which is so frustrating too, because when the Nets got their stars, they gave up D'Angelo Russell. That was it. And they had to take on Taurean Prince.
Well, Jared Allen, right?
Well, that was to get James Harden. No, I mean, you think about.
Oh yeah. You're right.
I mean, that net team originally with.
I thought you were saying something else.
No, but I'm just saying.
Overall,
like
I thought you were saying
when they acquired Durant and Kyrie Irving. I mean, that team, so frustrating because that team right there, early on,
the culture and the new Nets together,
together. And you got to remember, like that team had Kyrie. Listen to this team, like now in retrospect, because you would do this in a second if you could put this roster together. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Jared Allen, Joe Harris, Taurean Prince. You have LeVert and Dinwiddie as your bench. Like shit.
Kenny Atkinson, yeah.
I mean, you have Dinwiddie and LeVert and these guys as like your bench guys. I mean, that's a deep team, man. That's a deep squad.
But they didn't have a chance to do it because they signed Durant when he was injured, and that's something I didn't want to do.
Well, Durant was there. He was on those teams. He played.
Did they already trade? Oh no, So he played those teams. Okay.
Dinwiddie got hurt in like the 5th game of the year against the Hornets. Mm-hmm. So they lost him for the year, which was
yeah.
They lost him for the season,
and then they didn't sign him after that with the knee injury when you and Dolan J. Trump were trying to get.
He was great. I mean, he was okay for Washington, but he's very good for Dallas. He's very good. Got it.
He's been good. I gotta admit, he's been good. It's funny, like Dallas is left there with they're I don't want to say the expression, but I will. They're thumbing their ass after talking all that shit with the Porzingis trade, and you're left with, and the Knicks steal Brunson from them, and you're left with Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dinwiddie with Luka.
Well, they screwed up.
What? Yeah, you should have just paid Brunson. Like you had no choice. Like just pay him the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was like 4 years, $50-something million, and they could have done it, but they waited and they lost them. I mean, they could have had him now, and then you'd be like, oh, you got Brunson for $12.5 million. It's a bargain.
Right. But watch them turn around and trade for Donovan Mitchell right now. That'd be fucking crazy.
That would be funny. Right. Then you put Luka and Donovan and you go, well,
why did I just put that out there in the atmosphere? That would
the longer this thing goes, other teams have to be calling.
Oh, yeah.
That's the
part
Nets
are calling, man. The Nets are calling.
Is Danny Ainge gonna go, hey, this is the negotiation part. He's going, we want to get you Donovan. We know that's where he wants to be. But ultimately, Leon, can I call you Leon? I've got to do my job, okay? And I've got a phone call right now. I've got this phone call right now from my friend Mark. And he's saying he's going to give me 3 picks. He's going to get me these guys back unprotected. I love Donovan. I want to do what's right for him. I know he's going to be at a Brooklyn Cyclones game. That's so sweet. But I got to do what's best for my franchise. What can you do here?
Yeah, I mean, listen, and
I would not be a good negotiator, by the way. Very bad.
No, you would not be. But we be going back to the Melo story again with the Knicks. Is that Melo used the Nets as leverage to get the Nuggets, and Melo used the Nets for leverage to get the Knicks to up their offer. That's why they traded for Melo a week before the deadline. And Donnie Walsh was like, "Yo, relax. We got this. We're gonna give up too much." Like, no. And Dolan's like, "Yo, we gotta get him. The Nets are gonna get him." And he's just like,
yeah.
And then Donnie Walsh is like, "Yo, man, I'm out of here, bro. Fuck this shit."
That's the first time I remember being obsessed with like hitting refresh on the internet. Yeah, I thought the Nets had Carmelo like 6 times. It's crazy.
That was nuts. And and then at the end, the trade wasn't going to go through, and then the Knicks were hesitant to give up Mozgov. Remember, it was like, do we trade Mozgov? Like, it's just like, fuck Mozgov. Like,
the Bulls not being willing to part with Luol Deng to get Kobe.
Yeah,
a mistake. Yeah, that's a mistake.
Those are the things. Yeah,
that's a mistake. In retrospect, bad idea. Would have been better to have Kobe.
It's funny that GMs like don't want to put their names on certain things. You know what I mean? Like you ever hear the story about John Elway during the draft where the Baltimore Colts, like he didn't want to play for them. So he went and signed with the Yankees. They got drafted by the Yankees and went to play for the Oneonta Yankees in single A ball or whatever. And I think it was Ernie Corsi, who became the Giants GM. What's
Ernie,
his name? Yeah, Ernie Corsi.
I don't know if this is when he was.
No, but I think it was him, and he was like the Colts were like, no, we're going to trade John Elway to Denver, and he's like, well, then I quit. He's like, I don't want to be the guy that traded John Elway. I'll never work again. Like, you know what I mean? So I believe that was him, but that's a real story. So it's just kind of like, GMs don't want to be involved in that shit. And you can tell when owners get involved. You know what I mean? Like with the Melo, there's a lot of Melo in this episode, but it's comparative. When Melo's up for a contract extension with the Knicks and with Phil Jackson, he was signing with Chicago. And that's why I always get annoyed with like, oh, he's Mr. New York. He always want to do everything in New York. No, he was out the door. He was going to play with Derrick Rose and Noah over in Chicago. But that's when Phil Jackson or Dolan came in and said, fine, give him the fucking no trade clause. Like, you know what I mean? There's always something there. And Phil Jackson
do play a part.
Yeah, for everything Phil Jackson was bad at, he really did fall on the sword for the Knicks organization. Didn't trade any picks, he stacked picks, and that's why the Knicks are set themselves up to be in the position they are today, which is crazy. Yeah. And he wanted to trade Porzingis for Devin Booker, and we almost ran him out of town for that. So think about that.
That would have worked out.
Yeah. That's like, what's his name from the Giants coach who wanted to draft Mahomes? Yeah. What was it? McAdoo. What the hell's his name? McAdoo. Yeah. So we're touching all aspects here today.
Well, I would say, like Billy King gets a lot of shit, and I was for the trade. Yeah. I was excited, just as people are listening to this going, you can't give up 7 picks for Donovan. What are you doing?
Sounds like Salicata. Is that your Salicata voice?
I don't have a Salicata. I don't have a salad.
How can you do that? How can you trade him? Like everything's a yelling. Like, bro,
everything's a yelling. It's like, why are there pancakes? I was excited for waffles.
Sugar-free syrup.
I wanted sugar. I was just gonna say, like, Prokhorov had a big part of why that trade happened. I'm sure he's.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah.
It's
he
not
paid
just
him.
Billy
He
King.
paid him under the table. He's like, Billy, take this L. You know what I mean?
Trade.
Which makes sense. And that's the business of sports. And the Knicks are in the business of sports too, where it's like the Nets are on the way down a little bit, and they're going to be a little bit of an embarrassment right now. They're opening the door for the Knicks to take. The Knicks never lost the city. I hate these kind of quotes and these kind of things.
They lost it. Let's be honest. They lost it.
A piece. Like the Nets are the Nets are here, and the Nets have fans, and the Nets are relevant. But the Knicks, if they show up next year with the lineup that I was saying before, with Brunson, Mitchell, Barrett, Obi, and Robinson, that's a fucking team, man. And whatever your bench is with like Rose and Fournier and Sims and Reddish and if you can, and McBride, if you can keep him too, like, yo, like, all right, like this is a team we can fuck with. You know what I'm saying? And New York will love it. Run up and down. I mean, you'll probably have Tibbs like screwing things up and making them slow down and play defense. And like, I know you want to play defense, but you know what I'm saying? You got to get a running gun coach in here. You get D'Antoni in here again. Something. I'm spitting bullshit here, but this is a team. This is the next moment right now, man. And it's not about the business. You want to win, but you win business if you win games. You know what I mean? The Knicks can still, they're an attraction. They're a tourist attraction. They have a loyal fan base. They're always going to sell tickets. But you want to get to that next level, what you were in the 90s or what you were with Melo, get Donovan Mitchell and then worry about the next step after that. Thank you. Let's go Mets, by the way. They're winning again. Beating the Cubs. Nothing. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll go to a net Knick game at the Garden. We can do that.
Yeah. If the Knicks trade for Donovan Mitchell, I really want to go to that Cyclones game on Saturday.
Do you really?
I do. I won't. Really? But I really do want to go. That'd be fun. Just to be that guy in the crowd. No, I'm just kidding. It's kind of like all the fans and players showing up at the Summer League now just to be seen. You know, there's going to be a group of like 30 Knicks fans that are going to show up at the Cyclones game and be like, yeah, Donovan, just so they can be like, yeah, taking pictures, yeah, you know, Donovan, you know, and get him to like point up at him and do something like that. Yeah. And you know what, if, you know, maybe that would be fun to go, but I doubt I'm going to be like, hey, Hannah, on a summer Saturday, you want to go to a Cyclones game to my wife? And be like, yeah, I'd love to, you know, like, let's go drive to Brooklyn and Coney Island and do that. You know,
I guess it would be fun for a little bit.
Coney Island's a good sell. That's a good sell. So we'll go to this game for like 2 innings and then let's go to, you know, to the boardwalk and go, you know, go to the theme park.
The whole thought of,
if I sell it that way, I think I might have a chance, but I don't know.
Put it on Instagram, tweet about it.
Yeah, I will.
And show Donovan. Here's me with Donovan Mitchell in the background. Alex
Shams said today during the Knicks Summer League game that, you know, it's probably going to take a while. So we'll see. But like I said, Woj said July 1st, no trade. Now
who knows?
There's a trade. So these guys are just as good as the information that's given them. So that's all it is. But you know who's been batting 1,000 this summer, Mike?
No.
Windhorse. Windhorse has been batting 1,000.
I like Windhorse. I've always liked Windhorse.
Fat. It's because he's fat.
No, that has nothing to do with his weight. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I've always liked him. I have always just enjoyed listening. I've always liked his podcast. I just like him. I always thought he was. He just felt like a normal dude that just likes sports. I don't know. I just liked him, and everybody always got on him because it's like, oh, but everybody gets LeBron. It's like,
yeah. Well, that's how he made all his career. He came up through the circuit with him. Yeah.
So fuck you. If somebody said, "Hey, you want to follow LeBron James for your career and get famous doing it?" He said,
No. People on Twitter will be mad.
Let me go follow the Wizards and care about Bradley Beal. Yeah. So just I like him. I enjoy him. But nothing to do with his weight. No, it's just about him. I don't know. I want him to get healthier, I guess. But I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got to say the right thing, of course. You want to get healthy, yes. But you know what's also funny is
saying the right thing. I'm serious. Like anybody that's overweight.
Yes, I agree. But you know, you're talking about all the ring chasers in the NBA. This is quick. Everybody, all the casual NBA fans, and who say you know, you don't have to watch a basketball game to the last 2 minutes of the game. You know, those kind of guys, and you know, there's no defense anymore.
Sure.
Oh, they're all ring chase. It's not true. Look at Bradley Beal staying with the Wizards. Look at Dame Lillard staying with the Blazers. These guys are staying true to where they want to be. I mean, Lillard, I think, is done.
With the Knicks.
Mitch Robinson, exactly. You know, these guys are done. Luka's going to stay with the Mavericks for a while. Like these guys are staying, and it looks like we're getting Devin Booker stayed loyal to the Suns, and he got rewarded. You know, like this is the kind of stuff that's changing in the NBA a little bit. Like the days of the super team of people ring chasing might be a little bit behind us. You know, there might be trades like a Donovan Mitchell, but that's
Kevin
not
Durant.
The same. That's not, that's not the same thing as ring chasing where like LeBron did. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not the same thing where it's like the Jazz organization said, hey, we need to rebuild. We're trading Gobert. Like, and now you're like, all right, well, listen, Donovan, like, you know, this team, we're not going to compete.
Why do you want to be
here?
You
want to, why? Yeah. Like, you know, that's not the same thing as Kevin Durant waking up after signing extension a year later and be like, I want to be traded. That's not the same thing. So any ex-player that says, well, he's doing his bit like Draymond, he's doing his business thing. Or Richard Jefferson's like, well, what's the difference of a team doing it? The difference is the team has responsibilities to an entire organization to win games. And when you reach the end of that plan, you're like, all right, we got to change some things. I mean, it's not like what the Clippers did to Blake Griffin. That was fucked up. You give him this big deal. We want you to be Mr. Clipper forever. And then like 2 years later, they trade him to Detroit. Like that was fucked up. But like other than that, it's usually for a reason. You know what I'm saying? Like our plan amended, our plan changed, and
it just sucks if you're gonna sign a
not the
4-year
NFL.
contract. It just sucks if you're gonna sign a 4-year contract and then say I don't want to be here anymore. But he's got the power to do it. I mean, it just sucks. There's nothing. What are you gonna do? Like, what's gonna happen? I guess we'll learn. Can it not work? We'll find out. We'll find out in real time this summer of 2022. The drama of the Brooklyn Nets. If maybe it doesn't work out because Kevin Durant miscalculated. If Kyrie Irving and Kevin miscalculated, maybe we'll find out in real time that it doesn't work, and maybe they will run it back, and maybe the Brooklyn Nets will come back. I'll tell you this. I know you, as much as you probably want to see the Nets implode and trade and destroyed, I'll tell you, it'd be a hell of drama if the Knicks got Donovan Mitchell and the Nets now come back with Kyrie and Simmons and Durant. Like, you know, we've talked about a lot in the past. Do the Nets and Knicks have a rivalry? Those games would be intense. I mean,
they already are intense.
They would be. They would be. They would be crazy intense. They would be drama filled. Because I mean, like the last couple of games. I mean, look at last season, for example. Those Knicks games, the last 2 of the year, were meaningless for the Knicks, and the Nets were just trying to be average. Like, and they still felt big. Imagine if they were both good.
Yeah. No, it's true. You make a good point. It's just, it is what it is. And that would be a real big playoff series. You get that second round playoff series with Donovan Mitchell and the roster I keep explaining.
Nets second round.
Yeah, that's legit.
Would you watch it? Would you want to watch together?
I don't know if you want to watch with me. I mean,
I don't know if you want to watch with me.
Yeah. That's gonna be tough. We got to be at the game. We can't be like on the couch.
But I don't want to be at the game because then there's other people and then everybody's loud.
It's true. Well, maybe we can get like a group of people together.
No, me and you. I just want me and you in a room.
And then we'll do a podcast right after.
I don't even want furniture. I just want me and you in a room with.
We get a folding chair, like maybe
nothing. No? Well, I'm standing the whole time anyway. I want. Yeah. You're allowed beverages,
beers,
whatever you want.
Wings,
you know,
wings, honey barbecue wings, maybe.
You're eating honey barbecue wings during second round of. And I know it's been a minute since your team was in a second round, but come on.
You can eat wings and watch a game.
Not in the second round of a playoff Knicks. You're out of your mind.
You can't eat like chips or popcorn or something as you're watching a game.
Maybe that's,
but not something you need a napkin for, right? Like no napkins.
No. Yeah. Well, yeah. At that point, you have a little popcorn. You use your shirt. I don't think I could have chicken wings. At least maybe at halftime, like I could lick them.
Right.
But I don't think I could go full into. I have a hard time eating food during these.
What about burgers? What if you have a burger like first quarter? You're sitting down watching the game. You have a burger and some fries left over.
No, you eat before the game or after. You can't do. I can't do it during. I'll never understand that.
So just beer and some chips, beer and some chips and some popcorn or something maybe.
There was a point. Yeah, dude, my OCD got so bad in Mets 2015, that Dodgers series was like I was only drinking. I would have a drink only with 2 strikes. There's a fly here. I would have a drink only at 2 strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just like I could not eat. I would eat.
That was a
great
series. That was
fun.
Great series. I remember watching. I think it was game 1. I don't know what it was. I forgot what it was.
Dodgers you're talking about?
The Dodgers, and I would watch it at the beer garden in Queens. What the hell's the name of it? In Astoria, the newer one with the big screen, and it's outside, and everybody was on the tables, and it felt like you were at a game, but it was like with real people. You weren't with like any hoity-toity people in these like good seats. It was like all just real normal fans, and we were just like going nuts. Murphy had a home run, everybody's just jumping on top of each other. It was insane.
That game 5 was great. Game 5 was great.
Is a monster.
How
about Jacob DeGrom coming back versus the Yankees end of July? Do it.
What is he targeted to come back? I know he pitched today.
He pitched today. I don't know, but he's coming back soon. And you got the break next week. Ooh, man. Set it up. Scherzer and DeGrom versus the Yankees. That's like, it's unfair that the Mets have to play the Yankees, because they're the best team in baseball.
I don't care.
It's not a weighted schedule, but bring it on, man. Like, let's go. Fun. We're the best team in NL. You're the best team in AL. Let's fucking go, and we'll bring our 2 best, and let's see what happens. That'd be great. And Edward Diaz, the best closer in baseball, better than Clay Holmes. Thank you.
I love people, though. By the way, exposing your bad Diaz tweets.
It's not bad. Edwin Diaz was shit 3 years ago.
No. I'm not saying your tweets are bad. You're saying
okay.
he was bad.
Yes.
I'm not gonna ever criticize.
I wanted them to release him. He was horrible.
But good thing they didn't listen to you.
Yeah. But you know what? It's like the Knick fans on Twitter are trying to like flip it on me and be like, well, this is your like, why should we listen to you about Randall? I'm like, well, you know what the difference is that the Mets demoted, not to minor leagues, but the Mets took his closer role away, and Diaz worked his ass to get back to the spot.
So different,
you know what
scenarios.
I mean?
Yeah, it's such a different.
Julius Randle's throwing laptops in coaches' faces and playing like shit, and the Knicks are like, oh well, start tomorrow, play 40 minutes. You know what I mean? It's just like
the infighting that happens with Knick fans and Net fans a lot too. This is not a Knick fan thing. Well, this happens everywhere. I am just amazed, and I'm starting to feel a little more starstruck around you, Alex. To be honest, because I'm going to these Knick spaces and I'm seeing all these different guys, and I'm like, I think I'm talking to like a big shot Knick guy. I'm not being sarcastic here. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah,
I'm starting to get like the aura of who you are. And feeling it.
Really?
Yes.
I don't feel that. That's
I do. I'm like I'm around like, I don't think it's not Knicks media, but I'm like this is a person that I think Knick fans come to for information, and I've for real like gained more respect and thinking that, and seeing all these schmucks coming on some of the I've loved these Knicks spaces. I can't get enough of it. I've been a little nervous. I want to talk, but I'm scared to do it.
Is it Mo? Mo is my guy. Mo runs the spaces. That's my dude. I like him a lot.
Julito runs one.
Julito's got
and I DM'd him today. I went out.
Julito's cool people. Yeah.
I went to get Rita's ice cream for my wife and kid, and I put on the Knicks spaces, and I go in here, and they're talking about the Nets, and I DM'd Julito. I said, I'm coming to a Knicks spaces, and they're going through Kevin Durant scenarios. I said, what are we doing here? Like, is this a Knicks space or is this a Nets
the Nets
space?
Man. They hate the Nets now. It's just part of the fabric of the whole thing. It's like,
I know I'm busting balls a little bit, but I'm like in here and I'm listening to it. I'm like, this is like, what's going on? I wanted Knicks content. I wanted to know, is Cam Reddish going to be on the team? Like, this is what I'm here for.
Like some of the spaces are good. Like Mo's my guy. Julito's got a good one with Cedric, and who else is there? Brutus has a good one, and our boys at Therapy and Sports. But like some of these guys, they just like go on spaces and just talk all day long. And like, I'm on Twitter a lot during the day, and everybody knows that. But I'm working. Like as I'm doing that, I can't just be in a space and like talk for 4 hours in the middle of the day. Like I'm working like all day long. Yeah, I might be tweeting, but like I'm looking at my phone when I'm waiting to trying to press send on an email, or my computer's loading on a certain system in my job. Like, then I'm looking at Twitter, but like, I can't just sit there. People are like, hey, come on my space at 3:00. Like, I can't do that. You know what I mean? Like,
I need you on a Knicks spaces. I'm now cornering you here on the podcast.
Let's do our own.
Let's totally unfair.
Do one. Yeah.
We could.
Yeah,
we could do.
I go on sometimes. No, that's why I know what I'm talking about. I go on sometimes to just like listen, like if I'm listening to the fan during the day.
I need to hear you on a Knicks spaces. I'm like addicted to it now.
I did one on when Danny B used to do it. I went on one and talked for the first time, and like he posted it on his podcast.
I remember that.
Congrats to him and the baby, by the way. And that was cool. But like there's something about the spaces, man. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't know. I just feel like it's too much.
Yeah, it's a lot. No, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not addicted to the Nets.
No offense to anybody who likes it. You like it, man. It's cool. I get it. You know what I'm saying? But like, I
love it.
It's not my thing.
I think I'm fascinated. Like the Net ones are fine.
Yeah.
The Knick ones, I love like Knick fans fighting with each other. You say, "Oh, Mike, you're a hater." Yeah, it's great. It's just
I love how you're like that Nets guy now with the Knicks spaces up. Mike with the Nets fucking guys in here now.
Well, I
always call you out. You know?
Yeah. Well, I haven't had the balls to go up there and talk because I mean, I could do it, but it's like I don't know. Yeah, that would be great. It was just I love listening to it. I love listening to the back and forth, and it's helped me learn a lot about some things going on with the Knicks because I'm not as in tune with the Knicks as Knick fans are, but it's definitely helped me learn stuff.
Well, that's cool. That's cool. That's good.
I'll get you on there. I'll get you on there, and I'll give like those thumbs up emojis. You're giving good points.
Thanks. And yeah, the clapping thing, right? And You know what? I'm just happy the Mets are starting to win, and let's go. Like Mets are beat the Braves 2 out of 3, beat the Cubs. Let's keep winning. Let's sweep the Cubs and go into the All-Star break. It would have sucked if the Mets went to the All-Star break and they weren't in first place. I don't want to get into the whole Mets thing right now, but we'll talk about them as the season goes on. It's just bring DeGrom back for the Yankees series. Do it. Do it.
Fun.
Grow some balls. Do it.
Did Atlanta win? I'll just look at that. We'll see. That's the final thing I want to see. Baseball wise. Yeah, Braves won. They don't lose.
Fuck. Why do they never lose?
What do you think about the Kenyon jersey back here? You like that?
I do.
Nice
I like it. I like the gray one too. I like that.
I don't like the gray one. Everybody's like, it's so cool. I think they're hideous. I don't. I think I got it as a gift. I don't remember.
Like grandma got it for you. You're like,
it's way too big, and I would never wear it because I look like an idiot. But
it's funny. A funny story. My dad, Jets fans, my whole family, and my sister and her ex got my dad a Santonio Holmes jersey. And my dad's like, really? Like, he said to me on the side, like, they got me a Holmes jersey. Like, okay, like, thanks. Yeah. Like kind of thing. Like, he's this old school Jets fan. Like, he doesn't like he didn't like the first down thing where he dropped the ball at every first down. He's just like, he was like, come on. Like, you caught a 2-yard out. Like, dude, you don't have to drop the ball with the first down thing. Like, like, come on. It was second down. Like, calm down. But like, I don't know.
Yeah, I get you.
So that just reminded me of that. I'm sorry.
Not as bad as my dad going, is that line on the field? Is that from TV? I'm like, oh my God.
Or like the hockey puck with the Fox.
Well, we don't watch hockey
puck with the light on the puck that they used to have. Like, no, that's not really there.
I'll do this for the podcast. I'll wear it. I'll show you this right now on YouTube.
Okay.
See how stupid I look.
Do it.
I have to take my headphones off.
Okay. He's taking his headphones off. He's standing. And now he's putting the jersey on. For everybody who's listening on the podcast, I'm sure this is good radio. He's putting it on. One arm, left arm, now the right arm. And now Mike is wearing the Kenyon Martin jersey. And it is very big on you. Yeah, it is very big on you.
Stupid.
You don't look stupid. It's just big. It's huge. You should try to wash it and then dry it for like 3 times and shrink it.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I had a Richard Jefferson jersey.
Get it signed.
And I gave it away.
Oh, that was dumb.
That was dumb. And that fit nicely. I have a Kerry Kittle jersey.
Try to get this Kenny Martin jersey signed. If you ever see him, bring your son and use him as bait. And like, if you ever see him at an event, like, can you sign this for my son, Kenyon?
I do have a story when I stalked him one time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, maybe we shouldn't do this.
No, let's say that for next episode. Yeah, let's go next.
There's a story. Yeah, there was a time I found out where he lived and, we were bored. Anyway, end of story.
You drove by. Yeah.
All right. Bad Weather Fans, episode 125. We're still waiting to hear if the Knicks are going to make a move. When does it? Sounds like it's inevitable. When negotiations, but who the hell knows? And the Nets right now still in limbo with their team as we wait to see. We do have some fun guests, knock on wood, planned for next week. We'll see what happens. Who the fuck knows? Just like the Nets and Knicks, you never know what's going to happen here on Bad Weather Fans. But we got good, exciting content coming your way. Download the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, follow the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube and you want to see what a gray Kenyon Martin jersey looks like, type in Bad Weather Fans on YouTube. Subscribe there, get great content, watch these videos as we are rolling here on Bad Weather Fans, which consistently charts on a lot of different South American countries. European
We're huge
countries.
In Denmark. We're huge in Denmark.
Well, that one appearance.
Shout out to Denmark.
Where you were signing photos of yourself. There's photos of you. Alex is huge in Denmark. People don't know this. If you go to Denmark, you go in the airport. It's like, there's Alex. What the fuck is that? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know why we're big in Denmark. It's strange.
But what up? What up, Denmark?
Somebody we know flew there, downloaded 125 episodes at once.
Right.
What happened?
Not me, that's for sure.
Nah, not me. All right, Bad Weather Fans, Ep 125, Alex. We'll talk to you later, buddy.
Have a good one.